Today I'm going to talk a little bit about goals and what that can look like and what mine are for all of this. Why my goals might not look anywhere close to your goals or her goals or his goals. None of us are doing the same shit. None of us are doing the same things, right? Some of us are on weight loss. Some of us are gaining weight. Some of us are putting muscle on. Some of us are cutting. Some of us are doing all of the above, right? Your program and my program and her program and their program, it's all going to be different. But what you do need to do is find out the correct one that you should be on. So a lot of the time, we'll dive into fitness and getting healthy and all that, but we won't have any kind of knowledge around it, which I'm guilty of, 100%. When I first started 2 years ago, I explained once before. I went into it at 203, was really out of shape, thought I was going to like lose a bunch of weight and like put a bunch of muscle on. That didn't happen. I went really, really fucking hard for 5 or 6 months, and I did go all the way down to 160 pounds, but I was a bag of bones because I wasn't weight training. I wasn't focusing on my protein. I wasn't doing any of the things that now I know are huge factors on what you kind of need to do to, one, maintain muscle if you're going to do that, and build muscle. I wasn't doing those. I didn't know. I didn't have the knowledge that I needed for that. Now, yeah, I had people telling me, I had Vin telling me who I should have listened to, but I didn't listen to him. And I know a lot of people who start working out or start getting healthier, they might just dive right in, right? They might just dive right in and they're like, I'm going to do the treadmill 3 days a week and I'm going to do the bike for 2 days a week. And maybe I'll do curls, I don't know, every Saturday or whatever. And then when, they do that for 6 months, they are going to look better. They are going to look better. But maybe 6 months later, they're like, oh, I thought maybe I would have, a six pack, or I thought I would have bigger arms or bigger shoulders or bigger triceps. And then it's like, well, what'd you do to work all of those areas? Oh, well, nothing. I did the treadmill, I did the bike, and like every other Saturday, I would do curls. That person's not dumb. That person's not doing it wrong. That person's just didn't do enough research or didn't gather enough knowledge or wasn't lucky enough to have like, a 20 plus year guy in their corner saying like, hey, do this shit. Like, I've done all this shit. All of this shit don't work, or all of this shit works really slowly, but you can do all of this to get bigger biceps or bigger triceps or whatever. So it's not that they're dumb. It's not that they're doing it wrong. It's just what their goals are. They're not lining it up to hit those goals. They are getting healthier. And I'm sure if they were doing all of those things for 6 months, they do look better. They do feel better. What I'm really trying to say is like gain the knowledge, right? If you're already jumping into all of this and you're going to sink the time in to weigh your food, count your macros, take your supplements, all the things that we talked about that you kind of should do, halfway I think need to do, depending on your level of seriousness. If you're just trying to stay active, you're just trying to move, you're 50, you're 55, whatever, and you're walking on the treadmill every day and you're maybe doing the elliptical a couple of miles every day, then fucking good for you, honestly, because most people don't do that. Because if you're doing all that and your goal is to just feel good and walk around the neighborhood and not huff and puff and not feel like dog shit, and you don't anymore, then you're winning. Like, you hit your goals. But if you're doing all of that at 40, say, and you're like, I'm not getting gains. Like, I'm not getting bigger. I don't feel like I'm getting stronger. And then you go on to tell me like that you're walking on the treadmill every day and you're doing the bike every day and you're doing curls every other week. Like, that's why. So what I'm saying is if you're that guy and you're saying, and I'm weighing my food and I'm counting my calories and I'm hitting 180 grams of protein every day. So if you're already doing all that and you sunk so much into all of that, then gain more knowledge of what you're trying to do. listen, we have a gazillion fucking YouTube videos, right? From a gazillion different fitness influencers or whatever, or doctors, or you even get those fat motherfuckers on here who try to tell you about nutrition, which cracks me up. Anyway, there's avenues, right, to where you can gain the knowledge to apply these things to what you're trying to do. When you're on the treadmill or you're on the bike, you could easily hammer out 1 or 2 or 3 of these videos a day and just learn all this shit and try to retain as much as you possibly can. And you can tailor it to you. Do you know what I'm saying? Hey, I'm 45, I'm 200 pounds, I want to put muscle in. Literally type that shit in, and it will bring you a whole bunch of shit up. Now, I'm not saying a whole bunch of that shit is going to be correct, but that's where you got to kind of pick and choose who you want to more or less trust, right? There was plenty of guys that I watched that at first I'm like, he seems like he's in really good shape. Seems like he knows what he's talking about. Let me try some of these things. Try them. They don't work at all, or they're stupid and they're gimmicky, and it was dumb. And then I go to later find out, as I continue to watch said person, that they're just full of shit. They're full of dog shit, and at the end of the video, they just wanted to sell you whatever. And you live and you learn when you do that, especially if you're not in the space. And like, I'm still new, right? I've only been at this for 2 years, and the first year I did it, I fucked up. I fucked up to what I wanted to do. I did lose a bunch of weight. I was 160 pounds, and my goal was to lose all of that weight, but I fucked up in terms of I didn't like the way I looked at 160 pounds. I looked like a bag of bones because I didn't do it correctly. So I've only been in the space for 2 years, right? Over those 2 years, what I'm trying to do is gain as much information about fitness and the space that I've put a lot of time into now, 2 years later, to be able to have the knowledge to know how to tweak certain things. And I am still new, right? I'm still a noob. I'm going to be a noob for the next 5 years probably, right? That's just how it works. When you get to, like, you know, Vin status of 20 plus years, that's when you really gain the knowledge and like the wisdom, right? And it's like knowledge and wisdom are two different things, right? So you could have all this knowledge in the world, but you need the wisdom to kind of know how to apply it, I guess you could say. I don't know what I'm trying to say in that, but you get what I'm saying. It's like knowledge is knowing that a tomato is a fruit, but wisdom is knowing enough not to put it in a fruit salad, if that makes sense. That's kind of like where Vin's at, you know, and I'm still the guy over here like, I know all this shit, but I don't quite have the wisdom yet or the experience yet to kind of tailor it to what I want at that particular time, which is good that I have a guy like Vin or the numerous guys that I do trust, like Dr. Mike Israel on YouTube and guys like that, Andrew Huberman, guys that you could watch and get valuable information, valuable knowledge, valuable wisdom from guys who are 20 plus, 30 plus year guys in the world that you're diving into. So just know that when you go into it, have at least some kind of idea, even if it's not going to be something that you're super dedicated into, right? You just want to do a couple of workouts, a couple of days a week, but know what your goal is for those workouts. You're not just going to do it because you're bored, right? I've never met a guy that was like, or a girl who was like starting to get physically fit, and I'm like, you know, what pushed you to do this? I was bored. I had nothing but time, right? We just did a video on excuses. What was the number one excuse? I don't have time. So you're not going to run into that person that's like, just bored, just sitting here twiddling my thumbs all day. I figured I'll walk on the fucking treadmill and bench press 3 days a week. That doesn't happen. So understand what you're doing and why you're doing it and what your end results could be for what you're doing is all I'm saying. Now on to like my own personal goals and like what I'm trying to do. So I have a very like specific, literal yearly plan, you know, year to year in my head right now, that's what I want to achieve. That's what I'm going after. Doesn't always work the way you think, right? There's bumps in the fucking road. There's always going to be bumps on the road. I started this whole phase of this yearly thing back in October. Yeah, I was working out, you know, a lot longer than that, but kind of just going through the motions, like I just said. Not really knowing what I was doing or what I was doing it for. Found this whole, bulking and cutting and maintenance type phase that people do, and they do it for the year, and they do it the next year, and then they do it the next year, and you just do it as almost like a way of life. And I really kind of like resonated with that. And when I seen that program, it's like I knew. It's like that's what I'm after. So that's what I started to do. And I started to research how to bulk and how to cut and what's maintenance and what's not and all of that stuff. So your main bulking phase, you could do it whenever you want. There is no set in stone. You gotta bulk in December. Like that's not a thing. Most of us bulk in the winter because you're gonna get fluffy, right? You're gonna put weight on when you bulk. That's the point of it. You want to kind of do that in your winter time. You're never going to be taking your shirt off because it's fucking 2 degrees outside. You're not really going outside and doing much besides like walking the dog or something like that. Because again, it's 2 fucking degrees outside. So that's kind of the time that everyone picks to bulk. And what are you doing? You're bulking in the winter, you're cutting in the summer for your beach bod, right? Everybody talks about getting fucking beach ready. So you want to cut in the summer so you look awesome, and you can take your shirt off when it's 90 out there and look chiseled and cut and in shape and whatever. So that's what I'm doing.